here, and we're back here with another video. So guys, on this video here today, we're going to be talking about of course a much more broader topic in the forex markets, which is forex correlation. So we're first going to discuss what is correlation, and then we're going to get into what is forex correlation. So before we move forward, guys, please subscribe, like, share, and also comment on our videos so that we get some motivation and also some posters that what you guys want us to post on our next videos as well. So before we move forward, remember that these videos are mainly for educational purposes. I myself, Usd Jpy, and Stocks So Hope will not be liable for any profits or losses that are made from the material that we talk about here. So it's important that people do not trade money they cannot afford to lose. So guys, our topic here today is of course correlation. So let us jump on it now. So correlation is a much more broader topic when it comes to trading itself as a whole, not just in the forex market but in trading as a whole. Why? Because like there's also different markets that we trade, and also currencies, they are from different parts of the world. So different parts of the world, they do also have different assets that are traded in those parts of the world, and also there are commodities maybe that are also mined or made or manufactured in those parts of the world. So point number one, what is correlation? So correlation is a mutual relationship or a connection between two or more things. So another person can say the process of establishing a correlation is a process of establishing a relationship or a connection between two or more things. So this is just a basic definition of what is correlation. So it's either it should be two things that are moving in the same direction, or three things that are moving in the same or opposite direction. So if we move from the correlation itself and then we talk about what is currency correlation in forex itself. So currency correlation in forex is a positive or a negative relationship between two separate currency pairs. A positive correlation means that two currency pairs move in the same direction, right? So it means that if two currency pairs move in the same direction, that means that that correlation is positive. But a negative correlation means that they move in the opposite direction. So this is just a straightforward definition what is correlation when it comes to forex. So a well-known correlation in the forex market, it is USD Jpy correlation with equities. So USD Jpy is well known globally that it correlates with equities, especially American equities. So why is that? We're going to get in that. So why is that? So USD Jpy typically correlates positively with US equities. As Japanese investors sell the JPY to facilitate their US dollar assets, and then they purchase risk sentiment improves. So let us define this again. So the US JPY typically correlates positively with US equities as Japanese investors sell their own JPY to facilitate their US dollar purchases when the risk sentiment improves. So for example, favoring US equities over domestic equities, while other international investors sell the Japanese yen as a cheap funding currency to purchase equities. Okay, the other reason why USD Jpy correlates more with US equities back, I think it was 1945, there was a World War II during that time. So the president of the time in the US, they did went and attack the Japanese. They dropped the first ever nuclear bomb that was ever dropped which was the Hiroshima bomb that was dropped in Hiroshima. So after that, the Japanese economy was going down because of the war that was happening, but the American economy was thriving in the other hand. But when when the Japanese economy started to rise up again, because the Japanese back at the time, what they did, they retreated and surrendered. That's okay, they are not going to fight the US anymore. So, and then instead of fighting them, they became their allies. So that's why there is a relationship between the US and the Japanese economy. So I think guys know, but just check the story out, just Google Hiroshima and then you'll find out some more. So in relation with what we just said now, most of the time, if the stock market moves up, these currency pairs, the New Zealand dollar and the US dollar currency pair tends to move higher. Then the Australian dollar USD tends to move higher. Euro JPY tends to move higher. CAD JPY also tends to move higher when the stock market is going up. But if those currency pairs on the right, on the left side are moving higher, but Euro AUD moves down, USD CAD moves down, and then GBP AUD moves down when the stock market goes up. So the opposite tends to happen. If the stock market goes down, these currency pairs, they tend to go down. Australian dollar, US dollar goes down. New Zealand dollar USD goes down. Euro JPY goes down as well. But if the stock market overall goes down, USD CAD, Euro AUD, and GBP AUD, they tend to go in the opposite direction. They go higher. So this is not just the only correlation that happens between currencies and the stock markets. There's also other correlation, other correlation that's happened around the world. For example, gold is also correlated with the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and all USD CHF. These are called so this one gold and this one's here, CAD JPY, Euro CAD, USD CAD, they also correlate with what? With crude oil. So these two groups here at the top, we can categorize them as commodity currency pairs, which are correlated with mostly when commodities move. So when commodities move higher, these currency pairs which are in this group, they tend to go down. So the Australian dollar correlates with gold, and then oil correlates with Euro CAD, USD CAD, and also the CAD JPY. So I hope I'm making sense there, guys, because this is just a brief. This topic is really huge and big, but I'm trying my best to make it easier for even a beginner person to make it to be understandable to them as well. So other currency pairs that correlates with only the dollar. So if the dollar moves up, Euro USD tends to go down. If the dollar moves up, USD CHF goes up. If the dollar moves up, GBP USD tends to go down. So these are mostly correlated with what the US dollar is doing. So on the equity side, it's GBP JPY when equities move higher, GBP JPY, Euro JPY, and USD JPY. Let us say almost all JPY pairs, they correlate with the stock market. If the stock market moves higher, the JPY pairs, as well, they try to move higher. So if the futures there in Chicago, the S&P, the mini S&P moves higher in Chicago, and in the Nasdaq 100 futures in Chicago are moving higher. Obviously, when the stock market opens in New York, it will open in a positive note. So that is just another maybe definition of all this. So these are some of the few currency pairs maybe you can have on your watch list. Let's say maybe you can print this out and maybe just have it there on top of your screen, or maybe have it there next to your notebook, so you should know that which currency pairs correlates with one another. So if, for example, Euro USD and GBP USD, they move almost in the same direction. Euro dollar NZD USD, they move in almost the same direction. USD CHF, USD JPY, almost the same direction. But the ones on my right hand side, what they do is that USD, Euro USD and USD CHF, they move what in the opposite direction. So they do have a negative correlation. So GBP USD, USD JPY, they move in an opposite direction. So guys, this topic is very vast and it's very broad, because the reason why I made this video is because people have been asking about it. So I thought, let me just share my own view on correlation. So there's many other websites that talk about correlation. You can even check out investing.com. They do talk about correlation. I think my FX book also they do talk about correlation. But me personally, this is the website that I use to look at some of the correlation coefficients or the currency pairs that I trade during the day or during the week, because depending on the time frame that I'm trading at the time. So this website is called matterf.net. So it is a free website. You can check it out. And there's just some other tools that are more interesting here on this website. So on the correlation part, they also explain what is a correlation. If the correlation is higher, above 80%, so it means that those currency pairs moves in the same direction. If the correlation is higher, above and negative, that means that those currency pairs move in the opposite direction. But if the correlation is lower than 60%, then there's no correlation between those currency pairs. So there's also other tools here you can a person use to check out a correlation. So you can even flip this thing from a daily 4 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on which time frame you want to see the currency pairs going. So if you are trading at a 4 hour time chart, you can look at a 4 hour chart and come here, boom, and see whether those currency pairs are correlating per se. So for example, you can see that the currency pairs that have a higher correlation, what did it say? If the correlation is higher than 80%, it means that those currency pairs, they move in the same direction. For example, now this is GBP USD and Euro dollar. You can see that the correlation here is 93%. So it means that these currency pairs, they are exactly moving in the same direction. But as you can see that as I move my cursor from here to perhaps here, you see this now, it's GBP USD and Euro JPY. Here the correlation, it's 75%. Okay, let me just move to this one, GBP USD and USD CAD. You can see that these ones, they actually move in the opposite direction because the correlation coefficient here is 95%. But with Euro dollar, it's 93%. They are moving in the same direction. But USD CAD and GBP USD, they are moving in the opposite direction. You can even go and look at the charts per se just to prove what we just said here now, ne? Okay, the chart is still loading, but this website, I just find it much more simple and just straightforward than the other sites I've tried to look at. This one was exactly what I was looking for, so I thought I should just share some of the things and tools that I use when I do my own analysis. So guys, I hope this video will be educational, and also remember to like, share, please subscribe, and also comment on our videos so that we can do more. So guys, remember, this is just educational video, strictly not trading advice. So whatever information that we are sharing here is for educational purposes, not trading advice. Subscribe, like, share, comment on our videos, and guys, please do not trade money you cannot afford to lose. Currencies and trading has a high potential of reward, but most people tend to lose money because they do not have enough information and knowledge when it comes to trading. So that's why we share and do some of these videos, so that we get the knowledge and information out there. So thank you guys. I will definitely check you out on the next video. Thank you and goodbye.